Hello everyone. This is Vishwanath Chavan, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Walchand Institute of Technology, Solapur. Now I am here to explain the instruction level parallelism. At the end of this session, the students will be able to understand the concepts related with instruction level parallelism, as well as they will be able to differentiate the different types of dependency among instructions. So we'll focus more detail about the instruction level parallelism. So normally the total number of cycles required, or say for example cycles per instruction required to execute a given set of instruction for a pipeline processor is equal to the sum of the all the stalls created by structural hazard, data hazard, control hazard plus ideal pipeline of CPI. So that gives the pipeline CPI. We'll see what do you mean by instruction level parallelism. So the instructions are allowed to execute parallelly. So normally the maximum level of parallelism can be achieved with the help of the loop level parallelism. So what do you mean by loop level parallelism? For example, consider this for loop. For I value is equal to 1000, if it is greater than or is equal to 1, so it will go for addition of these two numbers, then it will decrement this count by 1, so it will go ahead. So it is going to perform this expression 1000 times. So if we convert this for loop into its equivalent instructions, then so all the values can be passed to x and y variable at the same time, and addition can be done among them. So all 1000 values addition, respective values addition can be done at the same time with the help of vector instructions. That will increase the execution, parallel execution. We'll see the different types of dependencies. There are three types of dependencies, like data dependencies, control dependence, and name dependence. So first we will see what do you mean by data dependencies. So here the assumption is that instruction J is going to execute after instruction I. So based on this assumption, an instruction J is data dependent on instruction I if either of the following two conditions holds true. The first one is if instruction I produces a result that may be used by instruction J, that is J is depending on instruction I. Or another case, instruction J is data dependent on instruction K, but the instruction K is also depending on instruction I. That is J is depending on K, K is depending on I. So until and unless it gets the result, it won't give the right result. So dependency is there. So we'll see how the dependency occurs. For example, load the content pointed by this array element. 0 of R1 will be loaded into F0. Then go for addition of content of F0 along with the F of 2. So the scalar value F2 is added with the F0, and this result will be stored in F4. It will go ahead for decrementing the count by -8 because it is double word. Then it will check whether it will take a branch. If it is not equal, then it will go up. Repeat this n times until and unless if it is equal, then it will come out of the loop. So this is a set of instructions which are going to execute in for loop, as we discussed earlier. as x plus y. Here the f0 plus f2 is going to take place, and here the count is going to decrement. So it will repeat this loop as equivalent to the for loop we discussed. Now we'll see the dependency. Say the second instruction is waiting to get the result from first instruction, which is going to store in f0. So it is depending on this. Until and unless the result is available, it can't go ahead for further addition. So dependency is there. Similarly, the s.d store instruction, this is depending on f4. If the result is available, fine, then this updated result will be stored into 0 of r1. If not, then it will write wrong result. So it should wait for updated result. So it is depending on f4. This is how the instructions are depending on each other, as we discussed earlier. Say next instruction, which is also depending, this BNE, branch if not equal, this is waiting for result r1 to be updated, r1 minus 8, that should be updated in r1. If this updated data is available, then it will go ahead further with right values, or else it will read wrong. So it is depending on r1. So we'll see the second type of dependence, which is name dependence. Okay, so what do you mean by this name dependence? Name dependence occurs when two instructions use the same register or memory. So there are two types of name dependencies. One is an anti-dependence. So when it occurs, for example, an anti-dependence between instruction I and j occurs when instruction j writes a register or memory location that instruction I reads. I is trying to read the data of that respective register or memory, but j is going to write it. So it may get wrong result. The second is an output dependence. An output dependence occurs when instruction I and j both they are going to try write the data in same register or memory location. So there is a conflict. So here also chances of writing wrong values. So next, you think about this question. The question is, a name dependence occurs when two instructions use the same register or memory location. Is it true or false? Pause this video and write your answer. I hope you answer. The answer is yes, it is true. A name dependence occurs when two instructions use the same register or memory. So we'll see next, which is data hazard. So there are three types of data hazards: raw, WAW and WAR. So read after write. So J is trying to read source before I writes. Still I is not written, but J is trying, so it gets wrong. It will read wrong data. So that's why we call it as it should read after write. The second type is write after write. J is trying to write an operand before it is written by I. So it should write after J writes. Third type, which is write after read. J is trying to write a destination before it is read by I. So obviously I incorrectly gets the new value. So it should not. So these are the three types of data hazards. So third type, which is control dependence. So we'll see control dependence. Control dependence, it determines the order of an instruction I with respect to a branch instruction so that the instruction I is executed in correct program order. For example, say S1 can execute if this condition is true, then only it will execute, or else no. So this is the dependency. It will execute if this is true. Similarly, S2, if this condition is true, then only it will execute S2. So there are limitations to be executed. So the order of execution and the dependency should be maintained. So this control dependency, it is having a control based on this condition. It is whether to skip or whether to take. It depends on condition. So that's why we call it as control dependence. For example, this addition of R3 and R4 result will be stored in R2. So branch if equal to 0, R2, 2, it is going to take a branch to L1. So what about this third instruction? LW R1 comma 0 of R2. So if it takes a branch, if this condition is true, it will take a branch, it will skip this. So if we do not maintain the data dependency involving R2, it can change the result. Okay. So similarly, we'll say we'll pick another example here. So this addition R2 plus R3 result will be stored in R1. So then second instruction, this is third, R5 plus R6 will be stored in R1. Then there is IL OR. See, in this scenario, OR instruction is dependent on both first and third instruction. Why? Because they are storing the result in R1. So this OR requires the data which is updated by instruction first or third, whatever. So it reads that. So it is depending on first and third instruction. So last case here you can observe, if it skips, then this dependency is not going to execute. So it is depending. So if this condition is true, it will skip, this part is eliminated, which is depends. Okay. So these are the references. Thank you.